Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English is Easy with Mira. Today, I want to ask you something important. When you speak English, do you sound like a textbook or do you sound like a real person? Because there is a big difference. In school, we all learned simple, basic words. Words like break, run, hold, say, feel. But when you listen to Americans talk, in movies, in conversations, at work, they never use those simple words. They use powerful, expressive words that make their English sound alive and natural. Today, I will show you 50 of those words. For every simple word you know, I will show you what Americans actually say instead. Whether you are learning English, living in America, or preparing for work, these 50 words will completely transform how you speak. Let us begin.
Section 1. Stop saying break. Americans don't say break, they say smash. Meaning, to break something with tremendous force. Story. Imagine you are very angry and throw your phone hard on the floor. It breaks into 100 pieces. You did not just break it, you smashed it. Example. He smashed the window with a rock. She smashed the ball over the net. The car smashed into the wall. 2. Shatter. Americans don't say broke into pieces, they say shatter. Meaning, to break suddenly and completely into tiny sharp pieces. Story. Imagine dropping a glass on a hard floor. It does not just crack, it explodes into 100 tiny sharp pieces everywhere. That glass shattered. Example. The glass shattered when it hit the floor. The earthquake shattered all the windows. Her dream was shattered by the bad news. 3. Crush. Americans don't say, pressed it until it broke, they say, crush it. Meaning, to press something with so much force it completely loses its shape. Story. Imagine holding an empty can and squeezing it completely flat with one hand. You did not break it, you crushed it. Example. He crushed the empty can with his hand. The box crushed everything underneath. His hopes were crushed by the rejection. Americans don't say, tore it. They say, rip. Meaning, to tear something apart quickly and forcefully. Story. Imagine opening a birthday gift excitedly. You grab the wrapping paper and tear it apart fast and roughly. You ripped it open. Example. She ripped open the envelope. He ripped his shirt on the fence. She ripped the page out of the notebook. 5. Crumple. Americans don't say, pressed it until it wrinkled. They say, crumple. Meaning, to crush something soft until it is completely wrinkled and messy. Story. Imagine writing something wrong on a paper. You grab it, squeeze it tightly into a ball and throw it in the bin. You crumpled it. Example. He crumpled the letter and threw it away. He crumpled the paper in frustration. The car bonnet crumpled in the crash. Americans don't say, closed it very hard. They say, slam. Meaning, to shut something with great force and a loud noise. Story. Imagine someone very angry walking out of a room. They do not close the door gently, they push it with full force. Bang. That is slamming. Example. He slammed the door behind him. She slammed her book on the table. She slammed on the brakes to stop the car. 7. Squeeze. Americans don't say, pressed it from both sides, they say, squeeze. Meaning, to press something firmly from both sides. Story. Imagine holding a lemon and pressing it hard from both sides with your hand to get all the juice out. That pressing motion, that is squeezing. Example. She squeezed the lemon into the glass. He squeezed his girlfriend's hand tightly. She squeezed her eyes shut in fear. With squash. Americans don't say, pressed it flat. They say, squash, meaning, to press something completely flat, usually destroying it. Story, imagine a bug on the floor. Someone steps on it completely. The bug is totally flat. It was not just killed, it was squashed. Example, he squashed the spider with his shoe. The truck squashed the cardboard box. He squashed the banana in his pocket. Americans don't say, pulled it apart. They say tear, meaning, to pull something so it separates forcefully into pieces. Story, imagine old wheat cloth. You pull it from both sides. It does not cut cleanly. It separates roughly into pieces. You tore it. Example, he tore the paper into small pieces. She tore her jeans on the wire. She tore the photo in half. Tenwreck. Americans don't say, destroyed it. They say, wreck, meaning, to damage or destroy something completely and permanently. Story, imagine a beautiful car after a terrible accident, completely destroyed beyond repair. It is not just broken. It is wrecked. Example, the storm wrecked the entire village. He wrecked his father's car. She wrecked her relationship by lying. Section 2. Stop saying run. 11. Dash. Americans don't say, ran quickly. They say, dash. Meaning, to move very quickly, usually because you are in a hurry. Story, imagine being late for the bus. You see it at the stop and run as fast as you can for that short distance. You dash to the bus. Example, she dashed out when she heard the news. He dashed to the shop before it closed. He made a dash for the exit. 12. Sprint. Americans don't say, ran as fast as possible. They say, sprint, meaning, to run at full speed, usually for a short distance. Story, imagine the final seconds of a race. One runner uses every last bit of energy and runs at absolute maximum speed to reach the finish line. They sprinted. Example, he sprinted to the finish line. The thief sprinted down the alley. I had to sprint to catch my flight. Americans don't say, jumped very high. They say, leap, meaning, to jump high or far with great energy and power. Story, imagine a cat seeing a bird on a high table. It does not step up, it jumps powerfully through the air with full force. It leaps. Example, the tiger leaped at its prey. She leaped over the puddle. She leaped to her feet when her name was called. Dive. Americans don't say, jumped into the water. They say, dive, meaning, to plunge headfirst into water or move suddenly downward. Story, imagine a swimmer at the edge of a pool. They bend forward, arms stretched, head going in first. They do not just jump, they dive. Example, he dived into the swimming pool. The eagle dived down to catch the fish. She dived into the project with great energy. Americans don't say, went very quickly. They say, rush, meaning, to move or do something very quickly because you are in a hurry. Story, imagine a mother getting a call that her child is hurt at school. She does not walk, she moves as fast as she can. She rushes. Example, she rushed to the hospital when she heard the news. Everyone rushed for the exit when the alarm rang. They rushed him to hospital immediately. 16. Charge. Americans don't say, ran at it with force. They say charge, meaning, to move forward quickly and with great force. Story, imagine an angry bull in a field. It lowers its head and runs straight at you with full unstoppable power. It does not run, it charges. Example, the bull charged at the farmer. The soldiers charged at the enemy. He charged through the crowd to reach her. Americans don't say, moved on with hands and knees. They say crawl, meaning to move on your hands and knees or to move very slowly. Story: imagine a baby who cannot walk yet. It places its hands on the floor, then its knees, and moves slowly across the room. It crawls. Example: the baby crawled across the floor. He had to crawl through the small tunnel. Traffic was crawling slowly through the city. Stumble. Americans don't say, almost fall. They say, stumble, meaning to trip or nearly fall because of something in your way. Story: imagine walking on an uneven path at night. Your foot hits a hidden stone. You almost fall but catch yourself. You stumbled. Example: he stumbled over the stone on the path. She stumbled as she got off the bus. He stumbled over his words during the speech. Americans don't say, pulled it along the ground. They say drag, meaning to pull something heavy along a surface with great effort. Story: imagine a suitcase so heavy you cannot lift it. You hold the handle and pull it along the floor behind you slowly. You drag it. Example: he dragged the heavy box across the floor. She dragged herself out of bed in the morning. She dragged her feet on the way to school. Wonder. Americans don't say, walked with no direction. They say wander, meaning to walk slowly with no fixed direction or purpose. Story: imagine a free afternoon in a beautiful market. You walk around, no plan, no destination, just enjoying everything around you. You wander. Example: she wandered through the market for hours. The old man wandered along the beach. They wandered through the streets of Paris. Section 3. Stop saying hold. 21. Grip. Americans don't say, held it very tightly. They say, grip, meaning to hold something very firmly and tightly. Story: imagine riding a roller coaster terrified. Your hands hold the safety bar so tightly your knuckles turn white. You grip it. Example: she gripped her mother's hand tightly. He gripped the steering wheel during the storm. Grip the rope and do not let go. 22. Clutch. Americans don't say, hold it very tightly because of fear. They say clutch, meaning to hold something tightly, especially out of fear or worry. Story: imagine walking alone at night feeling nervous. You hold your bag very tightly against your body, not just holding, clutching. Example: she clutched her bag tightly on the busy train. The child clutched her toy all night. She clutched the winning ticket in her hand. Grab. Americans don't say, took it quickly. They say, grab, meaning to take something quickly and roughly with your hand. Story: imagine the last piece of pizza on the table. Someone is about to take it. You quickly reach across and take it first. You grab it. Example: he grabbed the last slice of pizza. She grabbed her coat and ran out the door. The thief grabbed her bag and ran. Americans don't say, took it suddenly. They say, snatch, meaning to take something very suddenly and roughly. Story: imagine a crow flying down and taking food right from your hand in a split second before you can react. It snatched it. Example: the bird snatched the bread from his hand. He snatched the ball from the opponent. He snatched victory at the last moment. 25. Toss. Americans don't say, threw it lightly. They say toss, meaning to throw something in a light and casual way. Story: imagine a friend asking for your keys from across the room. Instead of walking over, you simply throw them lightly through the air. You toss them. Example. She tossed the keys to her husband. He tossed the ball to the dog. He tossed a coin to decide. 26. Fling. Americans don't say, threw it carelessly. They say fling, meaning to throw something carelessly with force. Story. Imagine coming home exhausted after a long day. You do not put your bag down carefully, you just throw it across the room without caring. You flung it. Example. He flung his bag onto the sofa. She flung the door open and walked in. She flung her arms around him. 27. Poke. Americans don't say, pushed with one finger. They say poke, meaning to push someone or something with a finger or pointed object. Story. Imagine your friend falling asleep in class. You reach over and push them in the arm with one finger to wake them up. You poke them. Example. She poked him in the ribs to wake him up. He poked the fire with a stick. She poked her head through the door. Americans don't say, move hand gently over it. They say, stroke, meaning to move your hand gently and slowly over something. Story. Imagine petting a cat. You do not just touch it, you move your hand slowly and gently from its head to tail over and over. You stroke it. Example. She stroked the cat's soft fur. He stroked her hair gently. She stroked the dog to calm it down. 29. Press. Americans don't say, pushed it firmly. They say press, meaning to push firmly against something with steady force. Story. Imagine pressing an elevator button. You do not bang it or tap it lightly, you push it firmly and steadily with your finger. You press it. Example. Press the button to open the door. She pressed her ear against the wall to listen. She pressed her face against the window. 30. Release. Americans don't say, let it go. They say release, meaning to stop holding something and let it go free. Story. Imagine holding a beautiful balloon tightly. Then you slowly open your fingers and let it float up into the sky. You released it. Example. She released the bird from the cage. He released a deep breath after the exam. The prisoner was released after 5 years. Section 4. Stop saying say or talk. 31. Whisper. Americans don't say, spoke very quietly. They say whisper, meaning to speak very quietly so only one person can hear. Story. Imagine sitting in a library needing to tell your friend something. You bring your lips close to their ear and speak so softly only they can hear. You whisper. Example. She whispered the secret in his ear. He whispered her name softly. She whispered good night to her sleeping child. 32. Shout. Americans don't say, spoke very loudly, they say shout, meaning to speak in a very loud voice. Story. Imagine your friend is far away across a busy street. To get their attention, you use your full voice as loud as it can go. You shout their name. Example. He shouted her name across the street. She shouted for help when she got lost. The crowd shouted with excitement. 33. Mumble. Americans don't say, spoke quietly and unclearly. They say mumble, meaning to speak quietly and unclearly with your mouth not fully open. Story. Imagine someone shy and embarrassed trying to speak. Their voice is so low and their mouth barely opens. You can hear them but cannot understand them. They mumble. Example. He mumbled an apology and walked away. She mumbled something under her breath. Stop mumbling. I cannot understand you. 34. Stammer. Americans don't say, spoke with difficulty. They say, stammer. Meaning, to speak with difficulty repeating sounds because of nervousness. Story. Imagine someone speaking in front of a large crowd for the very first time. So nervous the words come out broken. I want to say. They stammer. Example. He stammered during his job interview. She stammered when the teacher asked her. He stammered and went red in the face. 35. Announce. Americans don't say, told everyone officially. They say, announce. Meaning, to tell many people about something officially or publicly. Story. Imagine a principal standing in front of all students telling everyone school is closed tomorrow. They do not just say it, they announce it. Example. The company announced a new product. She announced her engagement at the party. They announced the winner of the competition. 36. Confess. Americans don't say, admitted something wrong. They say, confess. Meaning, to admit something wrong you have done. Story. Imagine a child who broke a window. At first they say nothing. But when their parent looks them in the eye and asks directly, they tell the truth. They confess. Example. He confessed that he had lied. The criminal confessed to the crime. He finally confessed his feelings for her. 37. Argue. Americans don't say, disagreed strongly. They say, argue. Meaning, to disagree and express different opinions strongly. Story. Imagine two friends who cannot agree on what movie to watch. Both talk loudly trying to prove their point. They argue back and forth. Example. The couple argued about money. She argued that the decision was wrong. Stop arguing and listen to each other. 38. Persuade. Americans don't say, convince someone. They say, persuade. Meaning, to make someone change their mind by giving good reasons. Story. Imagine wanting to go on a trip but your parents say no. You calmly explain every reason it is safe and wonderful. After a long time they say yes. You persuaded them. Example. She persuaded him to join the gym. It took hours to persuade her to come. Nothing could persuade him to give up. Americans don't say, told about danger. They say warn. Meaning, to tell someone about danger or a problem before it happens. Story. Imagine seeing a wet floor just as your friend is about to step on it. You quickly tell them to be careful before they slip. You warn them. Example. She warned him not to trust that person. The weather forecast warned of heavy rain. I warned you this would happen. 40. Insist. Americans don't say, kept saying it firmly. They say insist. Meaning, to say something very firmly and refuse to change no matter what. Story. Imagine offering to pay the restaurant bill. Your friend says no. You say, I will pay. They say no again. You say, I am paying. You insist. Example. She insisted on paying the bill herself. He insisted that he was telling the truth. The doctor insisted on complete bed rest. Section 5. Stop saying feel or think. 41. Admire. Americans don't say, thought it was very beautiful. They say, admire. Meaning, to look at or think about something with great respect and pleasure. Story. Imagine standing in front of a beautiful painting in a museum. You stop walking. You look at it with deep respect and great pleasure. You admire it. Example. She admired the beautiful sunset. Everyone admired his courage. He stood back and admired his work. 42. Dread. In American English you will never hear, was very scared about it. Americans say, dread, meaning, to feel very worried or frightened about something that is coming. Story. Imagine a student who has not studied for tomorrow's exam. Every time they think about it, a wave of fear and worry washes over them. They dread it. Example. She dreads going to the dentist. He dreads Monday mornings. She dreaded telling her parents the bad news. 43. Crave. Americans don't say, wanted it very badly. They say crave, meaning, to want something so strongly you can barely think about anything else. Story. Imagine not eating chocolate for a whole month. Suddenly all you can think about is chocolate. Every part of you wants it. You crave it. Example. She craves chocolate when she is stressed. After a week of travel, she craved home food. He craved success more than anything. 44. Hesitate. Americans don't say, stopped because she was unsure. They say, hesitate, meaning, to pause before doing something because you are not sure. Story. Imagine standing at the edge of a cold swimming pool. Your mind says jump. Your body says no. You stand there frozen, not moving. You hesitate. Example. She hesitated before answering the question. He hesitated at the door and then knocked. Do not hesitate to ask for help. 45. Regret. Americans don't say, felt sorry about. They say regret, meaning, to feel sad or sorry about something you did or did not do. Story. Imagine a chance to travel abroad that you did not take. Years later you sit quietly and think, I wish I had gone. That feeling is regret. Example. She regrets not studying harder in school. He regretted leaving his hometown. He deeply regretted his harsh words. 46. Cherish. Americans don't say, loved and kept it carefully. They say, cherish, meaning, to love and protect something or someone very deeply. Story. Imagine a grandmother who keeps every drawing her grandchildren made for years, because they are more precious than gold to her. She cherishes them. Example. She cherishes the letters her husband wrote. He cherishes every moment with his children. I cherish the memories of my childhood. 47. Trust. Americans don't say, believed he was honest. They say trust, meaning, to have full confidence in someone's honesty and reliability. Story. Imagine a friend who has never broken a single promise in 10 years. You never doubt them. You never worry. You trust them completely. Example. She trusts her best friend completely. Trust yourself. You can do this. It takes time to build trust in a relationship. 48. Struggle. Americans don't say, tried very hard with difficulty. They say, struggle, meaning, to try very hard against something difficult. Story. Imagine learning to ride a bike for the first time. You fall. You get up. You fall again. You keep trying. You are not just trying, you are struggling. Example. She struggled to understand the new language. He struggled with depression for years. She struggled but never gave up. 49. Overcome. Americans don't say, successfully dealt with it. They say, overcame, meaning, to succeed in defeating something difficult. Story. Imagine someone terrified of public speaking who practiced every single day for 1 year. Now they stand in front of thousands, confident and calm. They overcame their fear. Example. She overcame her fear of heights. With hard work you can overcome anything. Together they overcame every obstacle. 50. Inspire. Americans don't say, made them want to do great things. They say inspire, meaning to fill someone with the desire and ability to do something great. Story. Imagine a teacher who believes in you so strongly that after every class you feel you can achieve anything at all. That teacher does not just teach, she inspires. Example. Her story inspired thousands of people. She inspired her students to never give up. Be the kind of person who inspires others. The free word list for all 50 words is waiting for you in the description. Download it now. If this video helped you, please give it a like and share it with one friend who is learning English. Subscribe to English is Easy with Mira for a new lesson every single week. Thank you so much for watching. Keep learning. Keep growing.